Wow, so last night was opening night of the NBA season, and oh my god, it was a movie. I gotta get 10 minutes in the chamber about this because goddamn, both games tonight were just insane for different reasons. We're gonna start with Boston, then we're gonna move to the Lakers. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We've got all sorts of links to my socials in the bio, and I hope you enjoy this one. So to start off with Celtics Knicks, obviously the Knicks have a very new look going into this game. We didn't really know how some of these pieces were going to play. There's this developing story with Mikal Bridges and his jump shot, and yeah, it's looking pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. It's really just an awkward release. It sort of gives me Manute Bol vibes, honestly. It looks completely unnatural. I really think he needs to figure that out, or I think the Knicks are going to have a real problem on their hands. If he can get a jump shot back, though, I think that's going to be a big piece for them, because for a lot of the night, I think the Knicks were just struggling to create offense. They were able to get it inside and maybe work around the basket a little bit. Jalen Brunson was missing some bunnies. OG Anunoby was basically a no-show, and again, Mikal Bridges wasn't really hitting any threes. I think he had one in the corner maybe in the third quarter. Overall, the Knicks offense, it wasn't bad per se, but I just think they need to sort of iron out some of the details, and they need to sort of focus on the identity of their team more. They really need to hammer home that Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns pick and roll, and they really need to get some of their guys more involved. Their lack of depth is pretty evident. They had to play all three of their rookies in this one, and I actually like all three of their rookies. They've got this kid Pacome Dadier from France, who I think is a pretty natural scorer. He's sort of a big body. I think Tibbs was playing him at the 4 a lot, and so I think he could actually give them some rotational depth on the wing positions, which is going to be crucial for this team. They've got 2 other rookies, this kid Tyler Kolak, who I absolutely love. I think a lot of hardcore NBA fans see this guy, and he sort of gives you mini Jalen Brunson vibes. He's one of those like multiple year, super seasoned NBA ready point guards. He's only like 6 feet tall, but he's really got NBA talent. He just looked a little nervous out there. It was his first game and he only played like 6 minutes, but I think he's definitely got a chance to thrive in this league, and I think he's got a chance to overtake Cameron Payne in the rotation by the end of the season. They've also got this kid Ariel Hukporti. I don't know, he's from Germany. I can't pronounce it. Because this team has basically no size, they are going to need one of their bigs to step up and actually give them some rebounding, because they kind of struggled on the boards in this one, even though they have some big wings who can rebound like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. They're just going to need a bruising center who's willing to do the freaky shit inside that iHeart was willing to do for them until they get back Mitchell Robinson. And I think this kid from Germany, Ariel, whatever his name is, Hukporti, we're just going to go with Hukporti. I think he can maybe provide that for him. But really, yeah, no other notes on the Knicks. I would say it was a pretty standard opener for them. I wasn't expecting them to win this game because, again, it's sort of a new look team for them, and Boston is just better. But let's move on to the Celtics, who were just mind-blowing tonight, like genuinely terrifying. Going into this season, I was sort of doubting Boston because, you know, Al Horford's a year older. They've maybe got this controversy with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You know, is this revenge tour even real? Their depth is a little bit shaky. I think every single doubt I had was completely silenced last night. You know, one of the big criticisms of the Celtics is that they don't have a true top 5 S-tier, like tier 1 superstar. They don't have a Giannis. They don't have a Luka. They don't have a Shea. They don't have a Jokic. Jason Tatum, 36 points on ridiculous shooting, and he pieced up 2 of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He went band for band with the entire Knicks rotation. It was just a masterclass from JT. He was getting to his spots pretty much at will. He was hitting everything from pretty much the minute the game tipped. I don't think he's going to maintain this sort of production for the rest of the season, but he might be able to break into some MVP conversations. Maybe not for me, but maybe for fans who really value winning. This team gets to 60 wins, and Jason Tatum's averaging like 30 points, and he's doing all his other usual Jason Tatum stuff. I think this is going to be a really good season for them. And for once, he actually had a little bit of a hard quote to open the game when he said,
"Let's do it again."
So Jason Tatum was amazing tonight. Their whole team was just blazing hot from 3. I'm pretty sure they finished the game. If you discount the 13 in a row that they missed to try and break the record for most threes made in a game, they were shooting like 58% from 3 before that. Just a ridiculous shooting game. No team ever gets that hot, and it's probably not going to happen again for the rest of the season. But just the fact that they did it on the very first game, coming off a championship last year, there's no hangover. This team is just ridiculous, and they're going to be really good the whole season, even with Kristaps like probably being out until Christmas. Jaylen Brown looked great. Drew Holiday and Derek White did their usual thing. I don't really have a lot of notes on their bench. Joey Hauser didn't really get in the game at all, and Peyton Pritchard, I'm pretty sure, was their 6th man in this one, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, for the most part, really no notes on this team. They were just so dominant. It wasn't even close from the opening. And again, yeah, the Knicks have some rebounding issues. I don't think the Celtics are an insane rebounding team by any means, but the Knicks really have a size problem, and they're going to have to address that because otherwise they're going to be cooked by some of these bigger teams in the East. So let's move on to Lakers Timberwolves. This was a much more interesting game in a lot of remarks. It was closer for the most part, although I still think the Lakers were definitely in the driver's seat for the whole game, which is, again, not really a surprising outcome to me. The Minnesota Timberwolves have a new look, and I think the Lakers, because maybe LeBron is more fired up to play with Bronny, and because they're looking to get Anthony Davis's MVP. I swear JJ Redick said that he was going to try to win Anthony Davis MVP. Maybe I'm making that up. But after this game, I could definitely see Anthony Davis falling into those conversations as well. Just dominance through and through. 36 points, masterful defense, bitch slapped Rudy Gobert front to back. It was just a fantastic game from Anthony Davis. He really got in his bag. He took Rudy Gobert off the dribble a couple of times. This is what happens when you put Anthony Davis at center. This is really representative of what happens when you warp the defense by putting such a versatile player who's so big and so athletic on a traditional 5 like Rudy Gobert. He can really tear up your fucking defense, and he did that pretty much all night at will. Again, just a great defensive performance as well. He had some really serious highlight blocks. Other than that, the Lakers looked, I would say, pretty good overall. D'Angelo Russell was pretty quiet scoring, but he made some nice plays here and there. They got some good production from guys like Jackson Hayes and Dalton Knecht, just doing little things. I think Jackson Hayes in this one actually looked like a decent NBA player, and he provided a nice spark for them as their backup big. LeBron was a little bit more quiet in this one as well. He took some dumb shots, and that was maybe a little bit concerning, but I'm pretty sure, it's just game 1 of the season LeBron. He'll get into mid-season form pretty soon. For the rest of this team, Bronny James, obviously when LeBron and Bronny checked in at the same time, that didn't feel real. It still doesn't really feel real, and when Bronny gets that first point, when he makes that first pass to LeBron, and hopefully it doesn't take too many games, because I'm pretty sure they're going to keep him up here until it happens. And if it's just not happening, then we might get 82 games of Bronny James in the regular season. He only played 3 minutes in this one, but it was still insanely cool. I don't think he looks like a complete non-NBA player, but he's definitely got some things to work on. Overall, I think it was an interesting game from the Lakers. You can sort of see some of JJ Redick's tinkering happening already. They were running zone with Anthony Davis at the top of the key in certain splits in this game. They were shooting a ton of threes. That was a big emphasis from JJ, that he wanted this team to shoot a lot more threes. And yeah, they took them at a high rate in this one, but they didn't really make them, which I think is a little concerning, but they've got some shooters on this team. Gabe Vincent is back, which was really weird to see. Gabe Vincent has come back from the dead. I totally forgot that guy was in the NBA. Dalton Knecht looked pretty confident in this one, even going downhill, not just spot-up shooting. I think he's actually got some potential to maybe even break into the starting lineup for this team just because of his scoring ability. And defensively, this team looked pretty stout through and through. Just, again, Anthony Davis was just putting on a masterclass, and I think that sort of covered some of their weaknesses. And then for Minnesota, this was just a completely different story. Jaden McDaniels, I'll start with him. He looked good in the first quarter, very good in the first quarter in my opinion. Really aggressive, really looking for his offense, and looking like he had maybe improved on some of the things that I was hoping for, because to me, this guy has sort of become the Miles Turner of Karl Anthony Towns is. He's such an offensive tease. When Miles Turner, before he became like an 18-point per game scorer, every single year was Miles Turner's becoming a big scorer this year. Miles Turner's going to become a volume scorer this year. And it never fucking happened. So now I'm sort of waiting for that with Jaden McDaniels, because he's sort of got the skills and the tools to be a very good offensive player, not just an elite defender. And if he can maybe put that together, he could be a serious weapon for this Minnesota team on offense. And he looked great in the first quarter, and then after that, he just said, hey, man, it's been real. And he just checked out for the rest of the game, basically. I think he only finished with like 6 points, which was really underwhelming. Mike Conley also didn't play great, and again, Rudy Gobert got like completely bitch slapped by Anthony Davis in this one. And Anthony Edwards was so fired up from like the very opening tip of this game that like you felt bad for him in this one. Like the rest of the team was just out to lunch. Anthony Edwards was really solo carrying this team for large portions of the game. He played fantastic in the first half. I think his production slipped a little bit in the second half, but I think that's just because he was so gassed about like the lack of energy on his team. They might have some serious problems if Anthony Edwards' iso ball is going to be like their number one source of offense. Julius Randle, I thought, was going to hijack their offense a little bit more. I thought he was going to be harder to fit in. I think he's going to be a challenge to fit in, but not like completely unmanageable. I don't think he looked that bad. And Dante DiVincenzo needs to shoot better from three. He needs to be more assertive, because what it felt like was every time Dante caught the ball, he felt obligated to shoot it immediately. And that's not what I want to see from Dante. I want to see him worked into the offense a little more. I want to see them get better looks for him. I really hope Mike Conley hasn't lost too much of a step, because if they need Rob Dillingham to take over primary ball handling responsibilities for a lot of the season, they might be having some issues. So hopefully Conley bounces back a little bit. Hopefully this Timberwolves offense can bounce back, because they've got like the pieces to be one of the better defenses in the NBA again, and they've got lots of depth. They've got serious talent. So you could argue that they could have just as good of a season this year as last year, but they've definitely got some issues that I think they need to resolve. And overall, man, like between Bronny and LeBron coming into the game at the same time and the Celtics hitting 29 threes to tie the record, it was a total movie opening night, and a very, very exciting opening to the season. I think this makes the MVP race a lot more interesting. I genuinely believe that both Anthony Davis and Jason Tatum, because of how wide open it looks this year, could get into the race. I really don't think they're going to give Jokic another one this season. It would be very unlikely, in my opinion. And so the more candidates, honestly, the better. I think it's going to be very competitive, because you look at these guys like Shea and Luka, there are some flaws you could point to on their teams. Maybe you think Anthony Davis is a better player than Shea. Maybe you think that the Mavericks, if they just get like the 5 seed, they didn't win enough games to sort of make that MVP push. If Anthony Davis can make a push for DPOY and MVP in the same season, man, this Lakers team could be interesting. And this Celtics team is just a juggernaut. They might just run it back, man. Like, this Knicks team was supposed to be the second best team in the East, and the game was over by the second quarter. So that's what I got to say about opening night. Appreciate y'all for listening this far into the video, and cue that music.